So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. Let me take these earpieces out real quick. Listen, I hope all is well. I am still enjoying my time in Senegal. Hope you guys can hear me. Hope the sound is okay. Here we go, Mr. Urban World. And listen, we're going to get into that topic here shortly. I think 10K in debt cancellation is better than nothing. My point, and we're going to cover that here shortly in regards to the Sleepy Joe is going to cancel, I think, around 10K up to 20K, depending on the circumstances of college debt. Which, hey, it's something is better than nothing. But of course, you have people still complaining, and specifically a certain demographic in the Black community, which, I don't understand why, when you're still getting this break, why you're still complaining and saying it's not enough. We were having this discussion yesterday, and guys, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We were having this discussion yesterday, ADOS, FBA, immigrants, and, Black immigrants, and someone from camp, ADOS, FBA called in. And let me say this, let me give this disclaimer. By definition, I'm ADOS, FBA. I'm Africa first. So somebody from ADOS FBA had called in and was like, start bringing up the HBCUs, how ADOS FBA built HBCUs, which is not necessarily the truth. Now, Tuskegee, Bethune-Cookman, yeah, but I mean, if you look at the other HBCUs, Morehouse, who was Morehouse? Spelman, who was Spelman? The donors of these universities were definitely non-FBA, non-ADOS, the people who established these HBCUs. We'll deal with the AUC because I live in Atlanta. Currently, I'm in Senegal, though. So you bring up these HBCUs, you go into almost six figures in debt just to attend these HBCUs that, when you want to have this FBA ADOS argument versus the Black immigrants and how ADOS FBA, built institutions. But again, you're paying almost 100K to attend the institutions that you're bragging about that you built. Again, you're in almost 100K in debt. You're almost 100K in debt attending the institutions that you're claiming that you're built. That doesn't add up. That's not a flex. And then Joe Biden gives you 10K break, and you're saying that that's not enough because it's a drop in the bucket towards the six figures that you pay to attend the institutions that you're claiming that you built. That just doesn't make sense to me. So that's why when the whole, we built the HBCUs argument came up, I'm like, okay, we built the HBCUs, but we're 100K plus in debt attending these HBCUs. And now you're upset at Biden just because he's only giving you 10K in relief. That's not a flex. So I hope we could dead the whole HBCU, we built these HBCU arguments. I hope we could just dead that. But anyways, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe as you come to the chat room. Again, please like, share, and subscribe as you come into the chat room. Somebody said that's every university system in America. Clayton State don't cost that much. Doesn't cost that much to go to Clayton State. I think Clayton State's reasonable here in Atlanta area. Well, I'm not in Atlanta right now. Again, I think Clayton State is actually reasonable. If you ask me, Clayton State is reasonable. I think you should go to a JC for 2 years, then transfer to a 4-year. I just don't see the flex in paying the 100K plus to attend a university, then bragging how you built this university. It just doesn't make sense to me. So guys, again, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button again. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, go to dynastamir.com. And if you have not bought the documentary, again, if you have not bought the documentary, family, please go to searchforahuru.com. Go to searchforahuru.com and buy and cop the documentary, family. I greatly appreciate it. Again, I greatly appreciate it. Again, go to searchforahuru.com. Let me put the link in the chat room. I'm just reading some of these chats, as we proceed. And please go. There we go. Let me put the link in the chat room. Please, there you go. Please go to searchforahuru.com and buy the documentary. If you have not bought the documentary yet, and if you're watching this, I need you to go and buy the documentary. Christine System, I'm loving the documentary. Thank you, sister. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much. Again, if you have not bought the documentary, please go and buy the documentary. I greatly appreciate it. And I love you guys. I love all of you. Again, I'm just reading some of these comments as we kind of go through the housekeeping, do a little housekeeping. I'm reading these comments. So thank you for buying the documentary, Christine. Ayana, the documentary is very good. I love it. Ayana, thank you so much for buying the documentary. I greatly appreciate it. And guys, again, support the documentary. Again, please support the documentary. I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. Go and buy it. It's only $10.99. Excuse me. And you stream it on the side of stream. You set up a password and username, and wherever you're at, you can watch it on any device once you purchase documentary forever. Now, I want to give a special shout out to my web guy who is Nigerian, who I actually had the opportunity to meet and sit down with this past trip to Nigeria. You know, me, him, and his lady, we had dinner together. And I ought to give him a shout out, brother Daniel. I appreciate you. So he's doing my websites now. He's done the Donfo site, and he set up this documentary site as well. Talented brother, real good dude. I had the opportunity to meet him in Nigeria when I was there. So here we go. And I'm gonna get into that. Blacks in general, they never satisfied with anything, period. We're gonna talk about that. I mean, you're getting 10K in relief and you're still not happy. And you're still not happy. And it's primarily the demographic that claims to be the most educated in America. Like you're getting 10K. I mean, what were you guys expecting from Sleepy Joe? Hold on, must I remind you guys? Hold on, no, I can't play the video because I'll get not copyright strike, but they'll not monetize the video. Like, what were you guys expecting from the guy that said, if you don't vote for me, you not black? Like, what were you expecting? You should be happy that you got something from the guy. You should be happy. You should be happy. That's just my take. And then the thing is, you guys didn't demand anything from Sleepy Joe before he took office. You guys didn't demand anything. All you wanted to do was get rid of the orange man. The orange man is gone. Joe Biden's job is finished. So you should be happy that you got your 10K, that you got something from him. You should be happy. Again, the guy said, you don't vote for me, you're not black. So what were you expecting from that guy? So be happy with your 10K. Again, be happy with your 10K. But you know what? I was on scholarship when I went to college. I was on scholarship. I was on an athletic scholarship, football scholarship. And now that I'm 40 and I look back, in fact, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you've incurred college debt, please call in because I have questions. And the questions are, you're an 18-year-old. And I don't know, are you in front of the admissions counselor, financial aid counselor, in front of your parents? And they tell you to sign this document as an 18-year-old fresh out of high school, where you're now going to be $100,000 in debt. Like, how's that conversation? Again, how's that? I want to know how that conversation is. If you have college debt, again, I don't have anything, God, but if you have college debt, how is that conversation with your family, with your admissions, your counselor, your financial aid? Like, how is that conversation? Can somebody put the links in the chat room? I would like for somebody to call in and, explain that to me. But until somebody calls in, links in the chat room, go and buy the documentary. Make sure you visit searchforahuru.com. Search for ahuru.com and go and buy the documentary. Again, search for ahuru.com. And also, too, if you're interested in joining us on the tour, exactly. Biden never promised the black community anything, and the black community never demanded anything for their votes. Exactly. So be happy with the 10K. Go to donfo.africa. Again, donfo, DANFO .africa. Again, donfo, DANFO .africa. If you're interested in joining us on a tour, we are going to Sierra Leone in November. And also next week, when I get back to America, I'm going to go ahead and release the itinerary of where we are traveling to next year. For sure, we're doing Nigeria in August. We're going to do Sierra Leone in April. And then I'm trying to figure out, I want to do Senegal. I'm just trying to figure out when. And then it's going to be in between Namibia and Cote d'Ivoire. Again, Namibia and Cote d'Ivoire. That's where I'm trying to decide the fourth country. So we're doing Sierra Leone, we're doing Senegal, we're doing Nigeria, and there's going to be out in Namibia or Cote d'Ivoire. I'm kind of leaning towards Cote d'Ivoire a little bit, but the actual festival that I want to attend, it might conflict with it's going to conflict. Well, you know what? It's really up in the air because, oh, guys, and also with Sierra Leone, if you have your DNA results through African ancestry, you are eligible for citizenship. And if those results link back to Sierra Leone, you are eligible for citizenship. With Sierra Leone, I'm taking a group in November for the citizenship ceremony. For the citizenship ceremony, I am taking a group in November. Again, we're rolling to Sierra Leone in November. Citizenship is available to those who qualify, and citizenship is available to those who qualify. For the most part, you got to have that piece of paper from African ancestry, proving that you have DNA linked back to Sierra Leone. So if you want to roll, go to donfo.africa and send me a message, and I will holler back. Let's bring some people on real quick. Alex and Alan. Alex, you were first. Go ahead. Are you responding to my question in regards to the whole college debt situation?
Yeah.
Oh, let me put my earpieces in. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, Alan. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, you were asking the question how much do people owe and
No. I just want to know, how's that process as an 18-year-old? Because I'm 40 and looking back at 18, I made a lot of questionable decisions. So when you're 18 and you're off the college and say, hey, you need loans, like, how's that conversation between you and your, I don't know, admission or financial aid counselor and your parents? Like, how does that work?
Well, mine was kind of different because I was a terrible student in high school. So graduating high school, I had like a 2 point something. So I wasn't thinking at the time I wasn't thinking about going out of state for colleges or anything like that. I was thinking about community college so I can correct the mistakes I made in high school and hopefully get a 4-year degree after the 2 years in community college. So at the time I was just thinking community college, and because of the fact that my family made like so little at the time, because I only lived with my mom and she had like and my siblings too. So with the income she made, I was eligible for grants in community college. And so the first year of community college, after I got the grants, I was basically going to school for free. And then on top of that, I did pretty good on the first year of community college. So I was able to get some scholarships after the first year. And then after the second year, I got some more scholarships, and I ended up transferring to a 4-year college. And I finished my degree in the 4-year college. And the 4-year college I went to was still in my hometown as well. So I never did the whole dormitory thing. I never got the whole college experience thing people talk about. When I went to college,
Okay, so Alex, let me stop you right here. So do you have college debt? Yes or no?
yeah, I do.
Okay, so did you take out loans or how did that work? Like that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah,
Like,
because I had to do an extra year, and when I went to the 4-year college. So yeah, I ended up taking about $10,000 um, in loans, and that's what I owe right now.
okay, so you're
'Cause,
good. So you're pretty much so your debt's pretty much wiped out with this buying situation.
if it passes, I don't know if it's gonna pass, but if it passes, yeah, my debt.
Okay, if it passes, let me pass it to
Yeah, I'm
Greg.
just here to
Gregory.
advocate for community college. If you
Right.
have the option to do community college, you know, even if you get accepted to a 4-year college and you feel like you need the whole college experience thing, you need to, add your debt, add on to the debt you have. Don't do it. Just find a better way, especially if it's not like a high demand um major or like degree you're going for. If you're doing like psychology, business, even like law, I would start in community college.
Okay. I know Greg's calling. Greg, you in Kenya right now?
Yeah, man. I'm in Kenya, man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I know you calling from. We're gonna go ahead and pass it to you. So go
All
ahead.
right, man. Appreciate you having me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. This whole college debt situation is interesting. Um, Undergrad, I had some scholarships, so I didn't really take on any debt. But for graduate school, I went ahead and took on debt, and I ended up racking up about $42,000 worth of debt. And I spent the next 2.5 years paying off the debt. Only to hear that now they starting to do all this debt forgiveness. So for me, I'm thinking about what about the people that paid the debt off? Is there going to be some kind of like, are they going to get a reimbursement for what they paid off, the 10,000 they paid off? That's one question I'm thinking about. But I mean, it's good that they're doing something, because I know a lot of people, like I know people in their 50s still got college debt from all of these for-profit colleges they had people going to that ended up being worthless. You know what I mean? So it's a sticky situation, but you got to do something. I just wish I knew. I wish I knew that this was coming in the pipeline a couple of years ago. I literally paid off my debt right before the coronavirus pandemic broke out. So I'm hearing, oh, you don't have to pay payments anymore. Oh, no more interest. Oh, they about to forgive the student loans. And I'm like, damn, I just paid that off. So it's one of those things where, and then I talk to a lot of students from Africa, from different countries, and what they do is, I didn't know this, they rack up the debt to the hilt, and then they just go back to their country because there's no liability that follows them to their assets in another country. So there's many different people taking on debt for different reasons and have different implications. But all in all, I mean, it's good that they're doing something. 10,000 ain't a lot, because the average debt, you guys know, is like 50,000. But I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, I wish I could have been able to benefit, but it's something.
Okay, so the argument is, somebody made in the chat room that 10K might just cover principal and interest, or just
It's true. I mean, it's just 10K. It's not a lot for the average person, but it's something. I mean, I would like 10K back. I would take it.
I'll take 10K and put it towards my mortgage.
You feel me? So
yeah.
It could go to use, but it's nothing. I mean, the key is with the debt thing, though, everyone's situation is different. You got people that had scholarships, so they didn't have to take on debt. You had people that paid the debt back. You got people that took the debt and ran. You got people that's like, I'm never gonna pay it back. I got a sister that said, I ain't paying that back. I don't care. Everyone has a different viewpoint of it. For some people, it don't even matter because they're not paying it back. But I think that they gonna eventually do more, though, because the problem is it's choking the economy. It's preventing people from being able to spend money. And that's what the real problem is that so many less people are spending money than the government would like, that they're trying to stimulate the economy in as many ways as possible. And as time goes on, they're going to have to do more because there are a lot of people who are underwater.
I agree. Alan, go ahead, Alan. Alan. Okay. Go ahead, Chrissy. Unmute yourself, Chrissy.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. What I feel about, when I was 18, my parents didn't go to college. So going through that process, I didn't know anybody who, none of my elders had the opportunity to really go to college. I really went through it by myself. I filled out my FAFSA by myself. And I was, when you're having these conversations with, bursar's office or financial, they're like, oh, you don't worry about it. You'll pay it back. You'll pay it back. You'll get a great job and you'll pay it back after they assured you that you'll be able to pay it back after you graduate school. It's no big deal. And you're 18. You don't really have much financial literacy, which I didn't. And I just followed what the older people said, in the schools. They said, I'll be able to pay it back. No problem. Don't worry about it. So it wasn't until I got older and came out of school and started to see what the dynamics were. I was like, oh, that's not actually the case. Luckily for me, I don't have tons of debt. So the 10K will make a dent for me. It's not going to completely wipe it out, but it'll do something. My only question is, what do the taxes look like? So because I'm being kind of gifted 10K, do I have to pay taxes on that 10K? So what is the tax implication of that? That would be my question. But I think it is better than nothing. If they do 50K, I mean, I have less than 50K, that would completely wipe me out. Over the
Do you,
years,
do, do you think you think the 50K is coming, or 10K is pretty much?
Biden ain't giving no 50K. I don't see that happening. I don't.
We
He
would
gave the 10 because people were twisting his arm to give the 10. He didn't want to do nothing. Biden made lots of promises and he had no intention of keeping none of them. Once he got that seat, that was it. So they really kind of forced him to really force his hand on his 10K because he didn't have no intention of doing it. Biden's too busy undermining parental rights with this whole alphabet situation, which he has done. That's his focus. He's been very progressive on that, but no, he has no intention of that. But I think what I'm happy to see is that unfortunately my generation is like the experimental generation. I notice the younger generation, I feel like they're being more thoughtful about going to school, if they're going to go, what they're going to major in, because they see that the generation right before them got caught up in this. We're the generation that got caught up in this whole student loan thing, so for my children, I would say, like, I'm not necessarily going to push college. It depends on what you want to go to school for. If you want to study history, go to the library. You're not going to, no. If you want to be a doctor, then yes, go to school. I think you have to be very strategic. So about, and luckily for me, I do work in the field I went to school for, but you have to be strategic. But I think that's pretty much where it stands.
Chrissy,
Hey,
should
can you
people
guys hear
be
me now?
upset? Because I'm seeing this. Yeah, we'll hear you, Alan. But we'll hear you, Alan.
All right.
But Chrissy, as far as Black women, should they be outraged that Joe Biden isn't canceling all their debt? Because I'm hearing this. Oh, 10K ain't nothing. Joe Biden He owes us.
Y'all
So
felt you should have dealt with that before you elected him. What you mean now he owe you? He don't owe you. I don't understand people are sometimes they so dense. He don't owe you nothing. You gave your vote away for free. There was no agreement. Now, if he said, yes, I'm gonna do this, and he got in there and didn't do it, then you could say, oh, you owe us now because we had an agreement that you were gonna do X, Y, and Z. So I don't know, at this point, the way this man is carrying on as president, just be grateful for the daggone 10K, if it takes place. And I saw that there are terms up to, so that up to, I do technical writing, so I pay attention to words like up to. Up to don't mean 10K,
Right.
up to. So, be grateful you're getting anything out of this man, to be really honest with you.
And if I could chime in.
Let me pass it to Alan first, then we'll pass it to you, Lumumba. Because Alan, go ahead, Alan.
This guy is a complete clown. I regret voting for that guy every day. That passes, and I just like to make that public.
Hey, Alan, listen. Me and Brandon try to warn you guys.
I know. I tried to vote for Bernie, but then the Democrats screwed that up too. So anyway, the issue is that when you are 18, 19 years old, you're going off to college, they do not tell you, at least not sufficiently, that you will be incurring debt or anything about interest. Matter of fact, you're not taught anything about debt or interest at all in American high schools and colleges. So Students are there to be preyed upon by companies and by banks. We are preyed upon through our ignorance for the things that we were not taught. It even extends to the credit card companies, which will sit there. When I was in college back in the 90s, they used to have the tables out there where the credit card company would be
Me too.
offering the candy bars and the T-shirts, and just sign up for this credit card and stuff like that. And ignorant college students were signing up for that stuff every day, and just incurring and racking up more debt. That's why the for-profit thing is there, and that's why this debt is racking up for people, because students have been preyed upon, and the teachers, and I'm a teacher, teachers are in on it too. We're telling kids actively for years, forced to tell kids that they have no future unless they go to college, and that there's nothing for them to do if they go to college. We're not even pushing them towards junior college programs, 2-year programs. You need a 4-year degree and a master's degree to make it. And so kids are armed with this false information and signing and going up to the bursar's office, and they don't tell you anything. They just go ahead and have you fill out these forms, and then you turn them in, and then they work their magic and they get to charge you what they like and give you the loans that are needed to cover the bill that they want to charge you. And that's what happened to most people in America. I played football in college. I had, even though it was a small school, I got some money. So I left undergrad with about $10,000 worth of debt. I went to graduate school because I majored in a foolish degree, and to become a teacher. And then I ended up getting an additional $50,000 worth of debt. Okay. So I've received money recently, and I paid off about 20 grand of that. $10,000 would help, but it's not what Biden promised. Biden came out and made it seem as if he was in agreement with Chuck Schumer and these other people, and that he was going to give people possibly up to $50,000 forgiven debt.
But
he went along with that.
Yeah, but he never committed to it. Yeah,
he never committed to it fully, but he never dispelled it until after he was elected, at which time he shut it down and showed who he really was. And so again, it's yet another way in which students have been preyed upon. And I feel that the kids are owed this money because they've bailed out banks, they've bailed out corporations. This is the bailout for the working man, is to go ahead and bail out the student loan debt. And it would trigger a whole bunch of other things in the economy, but they're not willing to do that. They want to go ahead and Biden is very old fashioned. He wants to be old fashioned in terms of drug policy, and in terms of student debt, he wants to stick it to students and force them to go out and pay, because he's not as left leaning and liberal as, unless it's something for an alphabet. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right, go ahead, Lumumba.
Yeah, I would agree, right? I mean, sister, I think she left, Sister Chrissy, but she talked about Black women, and many individuals, such as myself, I would presume, Brother Amir, and many people said, listen, before you get this man your vote, you need to get something tangible in return. No, when people were saying that we were being influenced by Russian bots, right? This is part of the argument that individuals were making, due to the fact that Black people, particularly Black men, were thinking critically and intelligently about our vote. We were treating it in a transactional nature, because that's what it is, right? We don't want to simply be voting because we want a participation card to say, look what I did, but you get nothing tangible from it, right? Or I voted today sticker. And as a result, we find ourselves in these situations. But I do think it's unfortunate. I do know that in terms of that if that law or bill is passed, that anyone who went to a for-profit institution, their debt will automatically be wiped off. I do know that they will receive a clean slate in terms of their debt being forgiven, particularly because many of these for-profit institutions, not only were they predatory, but they were offering people degrees that weren't worth the paper that they were printed on. So I recall you have ITT Tech, right? I had individuals who also were going to a community college. You had individuals going to ITT Tech who would take what they thought were college level courses, try to transfer those into a community college, and the community college told them, we can accept these courses, right? those are some of the issues. I've been read articles on it. But I think the other issue in terms of how do we try to solve this problem. So I want to bring up, there's a brother who actually created an app online, and it's entitled Scholly. Right, this is a Black man from the Philadelphia area who had a situation in terms of he didn't want to go into debt. So he created an app. You could go on to Google Play, and it's called Scholly, a Play Store on your phone. And you can just punch in your demographics, age, race, gender, socioeconomic status, and it brings up a list of scholarships that are pertinent to you. And these are scholarships that are outside of the institution that you want to attend. So when the brother, he created this app, and he was able to go to the University of Pennsylvania in undergrad with $1.2 million in scholarships. So when we talk about wanting to be solution oriented, not depending on the largesse of others, particularly the government, who has typically seemingly never looked out for our best interests, the name of the app is Scholly, SCHOLLY.
Go ahead, Jay.
When I went to school, community college, I knew a lot of kids, and I mean a lot of kids. They come in there, they sign up for those Pell grants, they go to school for the first week, they get that check and bounce. And you never, ever see them again.
Hey, Jay, if I can interject real quick, I was going to bring that up. It seems like there's also like a community school trap. Like I know a lot of folks that started off in community college that do, like you said, I don't think they made it in a semester.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Exactly. That's very true. That happens a lot. But the other thing, Pell grants, you don't have to pay back. A grant, you don't have to pay back. You don't have to pay back grants.
That's true, but not only grants. Some of them also take loans. Some take loans, little $2,000, $3,000 loans, and they know exactly what they're doing. It's like a little hustle. They come there, they sign up for the school, they go for like the first week, and then you never see them again. You know, so that's something that's also a problem. You know, I just wanted to say that.
Mashawn, go ahead, Mashawn. Unmute yourself.
Well, as you know, this is a capitalist country. And most of our billionaires, guess what? They only have high school diplomas. You can look that up. Now, when I was in school, starting out for school at that age, nobody told me anything. I just filled out the paperwork and they just said, oh, I had Pell and TAP and everything is okay. And I had to take out a loan. And the next day, you know, they garnishing your taxes. So when you take out a loan, I don't know how they getting away with it, coming to the United States and getting high loans and leaving the States without monitoring, because with a lot of us, they garnish your tax. And I mean, they called me and harassed me every chance they got. I'll never forget that. I was turned off. So
so you know some people that come to the United States, get the loans, and then they leave the United States.
That's what the guy said in the beginning.
I think that's what I think it was Alex or Greg or somebody was just saying that. Yeah, somebody was just saying that.
Yeah, so they do harass you, but ADOS, they need free education, point blank. It has nothing to do with us not being satisfied, so that's bullshit. I always said and advocated for free education, and I thought Obama was going in that direction. So, but we at least got some community college for free, but certain schools, like I plan on going back to school again, and the bill was for how much is it a credit, Lumumba? I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like you're gonna spend $200,000 for what, a 4-year or even more than that?
No way. You can get a 4-year degree for less than 20 grand easily.
No. Easily. I don't think so.
I have a 4-year degree and I came out.
And if I could, it depends on where you go. If you go somewhere like Duke, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, yes, it's going to cost an astronomical amount of money. But Yale, but if you're going to maybe a University of Georgia, you're not going to spend $100,000-$200,000 in terms of tuition.
No way.
For a 4-year degree.
No way. You probably come out of pocket maybe $2-3 grand, if that. If that's
No,
what I
it depends if you're in state and out of state. Do they still do that in state, out of
Yes, they
state
do.
stuff
Yeah, they
too?
do.
Like,
And one of the
do,
reasons
they
they
do.
do that is because they want individuals to go to public institutions in their state. This is why if you are out of state, they charge you more.
Right.
And the availability of transfer and credits is difficult too. So I know a lot of people, even established, still have that problem. That's something that I guess
That's
they need
something
to work on.
I had to go through too. Transfer credits. You know, sometimes they tell you this credit is not, it can't be transferred, but there's ways around that stuff. You know, you have to go back to your school and get the syllabus, and then go back to them, and then have them like look at it and break it down. And yeah, there's ways around everything. It's just information. You know, information.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had
Ways
that
around.
where they didn't want to accept the course. They said, well, if you get us the syllabus and we can review what you learned, and of course I got the syllabus and they gave me credit. So you're absolutely right. But oftentimes the only time it's particularly difficult to get your transfers your credits transferred is when the institution you went to has shaky accreditation. Right. So if you've gone to a for-profit institution
like a DeVry, Everest,
a Trump University, a ITT Tech, a Miami Jacobs, typically for-profit institutions are where you're going to have an issue. Now, I'm in a doctoral program, right? So in my doctoral program, if you go to a public or private institution, right, a research-intensive institution, you transfer to another program, as long as you've taken all those classes within a 6-year period, right, those credits were transferred. Those classes were transferred. But if it's been more than 6 years, because we know the academy is always refurbishing itself and coming out with new literature and information, then there will be an issue. But typically, as I think Brother Jay stated, if you are at a for-profit institution, that's when your credits will not transfer no matter what you do.
But given all of this, debacle, is that the word I'm looking for? Because they're making it too complicated, and then they're making it expensive. And then they know, I mean, college, yes, you need the education, but you must live too. You must work too. You're going to have children too. You need to pay rent, mortgage. And they're not taking none of that into consideration. So nobody can sit up here saying that that's not enough. How can you say that's not enough? So like I said, ADOS college tuition education should be free, because when we get our education, we put back into our communities and we put back into the country, period. It used to be a time, if you were smart, intelligent, they would invest and this country would support you. But given the basis that you're poor back in, you understand? So that is something that really we need to focus on, especially ADOS, because we have brilliant minds, brilliant children, and they could take a test, not an IQ test, but really take a test to see where they are. Because when I first started in school, I got mostly everything right. But then again, I went to private school prior, because the public school system, I'm telling you, is even worse today. But being that said, if somebody invested and pour money, free education, where you don't have this monkey on your back, or you can't make a move without that pressure, that's not good. How's a person supposed to live? So no, $10,000 is not enough. I'm gonna go beyond $10,000. Period.
I think $10,000. I think $10,000 is okay. The problem is people don't want to work hard for anything nowadays, you know. And the problem also comes from the family structure. I mean, I went to school with I was in a program and there was like 5 of us that were black, and I'm the only one that made it out. And it wasn't because they weren't smart. It's because they all had like other things going on outside of school, you know. And I feel like the problem with the black community, mostly the African American community, is that they don't support. I don't know if they don't support, because these kids are stubborn, man. But they don't support the kids all the way through school, you know, because most of them had like kids to take care of, and most of them had like jobs, and the other races, their family was paying for their cars, their gas, their cell phone, and all they had to do was just go to school. You know what I mean? So I think that's something. The structure for the African American community is just a little bit different. You know, I think it's more like you turn 18, get a job, and stuff like that. I could be wrong. I'm African, so that's what I see, though.
I will also like to add what Mama Shone said as far as it should be free specifically for ADOS because they pour into the community. I think regardless if you're ADOS or not, you're pouring back. Once you live in the United States, you're reinvesting into the United States. So, and also I would also say is that we also have to remember that education does not transfer into wealth. So we also have to. No, I'm using my phone. We also have to remember that as well.
But
when I say,
hold on, sister, I think another issue when we talk about education being free, right? This being maybe a form of reparations. Native Americans actually have part of their package or
free. They get free education
with the United States.
Free education.
Go to school for free. However, that's only if they attend a tribal college.
I didn't know that.
Yes, this is the problem. So and of course I know this because I'm getting my doctorate in higher education and student affairs. So I had to review the literature. But my question would be, if there was some type of law passed saying that African Americans, individuals of African descent that were enslaved in America, were able to go to school for free, I would bet you it would probably be to the lowest level higher education institutions in the country.
Another thing too is stop going after these low-level degrees. Stop going after these low-level degrees. We need chemists, we need scientists, we need mathematicians, we need doctors. Stop these sociology, psychology, liberal arts. That's BS degrees, man. You go spend $50K to get a liberal arts degree. For what? And then complain when you can't pay the student loans. Compete for the top level, high-paying degrees. That's what I feel like most African Americans should go for.
Well, in the 60s, Martin Luther King, I'm talking about civil rights. Okay, they died, blood, sweat, and tears just to even go to school. So that's why I can say that ADOS should go to school for free because they deserve it. Our ancestors paid for it. They died. They were murdered. They were slaughtered. They were hung. Everything you can imagine was done to them. They didn't even want us to go to the same schools. That's not too long ago. You're talking about the late 60s. We're in what, 2020? So, I mean, they need to give us free education. That's one. Okay. So, free. Yes, I can say, hey, hold up. Well, quality education too, like Lumumba said. Okay. We need free quality education, and we need to go to the schools that we want to go to. And we need support. How about that? So I can say, yes, ADOS, because they suffered and they're still suffering. We still have a lot of fights on the front line, and we have the right to.
When I was going to school, I had a job. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just telling you my experience. I had a job. I had to take the bus hour and a half to get to school every day, back and forth. I pulled a whole lot of all-nighters, a whole bunch of all-nighters, to go take my test. So sometimes we got to put in the work too. We got to put in the work. Not everything is going to be handed to you. Education is practically free, if you know compared
to the Europeans, right? The way they brought up the high schools they go to, directly, they have an idea of what colleges they want to go to. They already had the support. They didn't put in a lot of damn work. Their parents had their back. Oh, what you need? I got this and I got that. They have a plan already put together for their generations, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren.
1 second. Let me read this super chat real quick. Alan HB, would you give a 17-year-old a $100,000 loan for anything else? Why is it legal to do this to kids in the name of education? They know you can't pay it back.
I agree. I would say that for young, teenagers so young, it is predatory.
Mhm.
You're dealing with these are big decisions, 6-figure decisions in front of 17-year-olds, and they depend on people in the institutions. They depend on people who are older than them to lead them in the right direction, these educators. And these educators are the ones who are manipulating you to a degree. They're manipulating the trust that they know that you have for them. You once gone to school, your entire life. You have a level of trust for them, belief you have in them, belief you have in the institutions and everything, and in your society. At that time when I was going to school, is telling you, if you don't go to college, you might as well just like find a little tent on the street and just cot you right there, because there's no future. So I think that I would say they owe the students the 10K, as I think Alan had said, because you manipulated young people into this.
That's
It
true.
was
I
not
agree with that.
explained properly.
I agree with that.
Young people were manipulated.
I feel like a
Our
lot of kids.
trust, our naivety was manipulated. Now this generation coming up, I think that they see what has happened. They're way more knowledgeable of what can happen with this whole student loan thing than my generation was. So yeah, I would totally agree. They would never give a 17-year-old a 100K mortgage or a business loan. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't think that you're responsible enough, you know.
No, 100K
That's
in
why
student
they need to
loans.
be penalized. They
Yeah.
need to be
100K in
sued
student
and
loans.
penalized.
Yeah.
100K in student loans is not bad. It's bad when you go for a sociology degree and get 100K in student loans. If you're a doctor with 100 to 300K in student loans, it's
It
not
takes a
bad,
doctor a while to start making that money. It's after that residency when they really start making that money. So
Right. Either
This is
way.
yeah,
true.
it matters.
Well, let me say this, because one of my good friends I grew up with, he's a doctor of oncology, which is internal medicine. So when he did pre-med at Case Western, he went to medical school at Case Western. He did his residency at Duke. And during his residency, he was only making about 50K. So I asked him, I said, how much student loan debt do you have now that you've gotten your medical degree? He said it was 325,000. 320. Now listen to this. He said 325K. So he moves to Chicago. He's working. He becomes the head of oncology at Northwestern University Hospital on the near north side. He paid off that debt in 1 year.
1 year.
That's fantastic.
1
But there can only
year.
be one head of oncology, right?
No.
Yeah.
It
There
doesn't
can
have
only
to
be
be
one.
any kind of doctor makes 300K easily.
Well, I
In
would say
time.
this. Typically in my field, a doctor is going to make around 100K. Right. And then you're going to move your way up. Right. So, but also that depends on the institution you're at. So if you are at a better resource, more highly funded institution, top tier university, yes, I start off making around 100K. If you are at a lesser institution, maybe not so much, maybe around 70.
Right. You got to take the degrees.
But I will, just to harp on what Jay is saying, you have to be very intentional in terms of what program of study you're looking to pursue, so that you're not taking on a bunch of debt for a degree in social work.
Right, and making $15 an hour. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. That's where the parents come in. But
yes,
it's a whole nother question, whole other topic.
I would say the parents come into a certain degree, because like I'm gonna be my parents don't have that. They didn't have that opportunity. They have like an 8th grade education from the Caribbean, so they didn't know anything about any of that.
Me too.
So I think that the school really, just how the school seems to be very comfortable coming in and leading the way in other areas. I think that this should definitely be something that the school should really, there should be a course on, okay, college prep, right? Because at least me at the school I went to, I took college prep classes. In college prep, there should be what is, going to college, how to think about your major, how to think about the what you will, the job opportunities that will come for that. Now, I didn't know that before college, but when I went to college, I just was so afraid of coming out of school without a job, because I had friends who were in school, straight A's, came out of school. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just graduated. What are you going to do? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I can't, my family's not going to accept that. So I became like obsessed with like internships and finding jobs and making connections. But
You
every
worked
young person
hard.
doesn't have that dynamic. But there should be a class in high school that really prepares you for signing away 6-figure deals with institutions and what that means and what the kind of career you're going to have, and thinking about that strategically. Young people need help in that area because there's nothing else that is fostering that knowledge unless it's coming from somewhere.
So why is it, I want to bring about a point. Why is there so many college professors living off of welfare?
One, I would say if you're going to make that claim, you have to provide some evidence to substantiate.
No, that is evidence. It's documented. There's articles. There's documentation. It was on. Listen, PBS.
Adjunct professors. You're not talking about individuals who work full time. I've been an adjunct before. Right? So
I'm talking about there's one particular woman who's a Black woman who works full time.
No, but she's an adjunct. I know who you're talking about. There was an article on her.
But there's more than one.
What I'm saying is, if you can hear me out, I am familiar with that woman in the article. I had to read the article for one of my classes, right back when I was doing coursework. It is impossible to be a tenure track professor full-time working at a public institution and be on welfare. You simply make too much. I'm not even a professor right now, right? I'm just working as an administrator, and I make too much to get any type of social benefits or welfare.
I know professors making
she should not be in that position, period.
No,
I know professors
whether it's adjunct,
you're only teaching one adjunct,
but she's
right. That's only what, $1,000. You get paid $500 for each class.
I know professors making $200K,
exactly,
$80K easily.
So once again, the devil is in the details. If you're teaching one or two classes and you're not a full-time professor, because most professors, if you are at a big-time public institution, like let's say University of Georgia, Predatory went to, Predatory, they typically go on teach a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 schedule. What does that mean? That means you teach one class in the fall, one class in the spring, or 2 classes in the fall, 2 classes in the spring, but the rest of your time is devoted towards doing research and publishing. So you basically are paid by the institution as a professor, not really to teach, but to publish and forward research in that particular college or program that you are in. So once again, the devil is in. Hold on, let me finish.
But she still should not be living off of food stamps. A matter of fact, I met a lady. I met a white educated lady whose family was in the college business, and she said she grew up on food stamps. Okay, so we got to be careful. I'm not knocking it because you can't knock it because I needed food stamps and my children needed food stamps. Thank God for it. So, and that's part of resource. Let me tell you. So, but what I'm saying is, this is a European telling me how they had to live educated and live off of food stamps themselves, and they said thank God. So I thank God for who was it, Roosevelt, that I think passed that bill years ago. So what I'm saying is, it's still difficult. Not everybody's going to have 100.
Mashawn, I think you're missing the point, Mashawn. So like when I play football, right? You had the coaches, then you had GAs, which were graduate assistants, right? They kind of filled the role of coaches, not completely. But they were still kind of coaches, but they're graduate assistants. They got paid when I was in college back in like 2000 through 2005. They were pretty much on campus. They were at every practice, all the team meetings. They were only getting $1,000 like $1,500 a month.
Right.
This was back in the early 2000s. They're getting $1,500 a month. There were GAs. I don't know how much they get now. But they go from GA to like assistant coach, and now these assistant coaches are getting $500,000. You got some assistant coaches getting millions of dollars. You know, the assistant position coaches, they're getting $200K.
Ohio State just hired a new defensive coordinator, and he's making $2 million. But the average assistant coach coming into a Division I Power Five conference will be making maybe about 150,000 to 200 a year walking in. But if you are at a smaller institution, smaller college, of course, it's going to be less money.
Marshawn,
But that's not the masses.
Right, but the other issue, if I could, is that when you Sister Marshawn, when you talked about the end of the sister who was a professor, right, but still on food stamps, that comes down to what? She was working part-time. She wasn't working full-time and qualifying for food stamps. She was working part-time. And that's why she was qualifying for food stamps, even though she was teaching college courses. The other thing I want to mention is, depending on the institution you are at, you could teach college level courses and not be a PhD, right? So only tier 1 institutions require you to what? If you're going to teach a course, you have to be a PhD. So that's another issue also right there. So once again, the devil is in the details, because I'm familiar with the sister and I read the article. Yes, she was receiving food stamps. Yes, she was a college professor. She was teaching courses, but she was receiving food stamps because she wasn't working full time. And oftentimes, this is something that I even learned in my doctoral program. It's something they call the adjunct trap. You start accepting adjunct positions instead of applying for what? Full-time tenure track teaching positions at a college or university, because the full-time tenure track positions are the ones that pay the big bucks. But in order to get those positions, guess what you have to do? You have to do a whole lot of writing. You have to be extremely engaged and enmeshed in your research. So being a professor that teaches and being a professor who's tenure track and is actually engaging in research. Matter of fact, I just met with my advisor and we had to talk about what book I was going to be writing in the next 5 years. So when you're talking about going tenure track, that means you are writing books, you are publishing, you are doing research to move the discipline forward. And that is a whole nother set and criteria, which is why they get paid what we call what? The big bucks.
Miss Marshawn.
That's a small group. That's not the majority.
It's not a small group when we talk about the industry of professors in higher education. I can say this because I work in higher ed and I'm in a doctoral program right now.
But I'm talking about, when I say small group, we're talking about here the masses of college students put together all together. Everybody's not, but but they're in debt and you're being overcharged for credits, and not every last college student,
you're now changing the argument.
Not every last college student is looking towards becoming a professor.
I understand that.
At your level.
Ms. Marshawn, the goalpost. We were talking about a professor who was on food stamps. Now you're talking about the cost of tuition. Can we please stay focused on one particular issue at a time? And when I notice you do a lot is when I dispel the claim you're making, you just start bringing up something else instead of focusing on it.
Because you said the professor worked part-time. I didn't want to debate that because there's many, and I remember her saying she works full-time. So I don't know if this is the same woman. You're saying you saw the article, but there's more than one. What was you saying, sir?
Ms. Marshawn, handouts have hurt Black people more than help Black people. I'm telling you right now, the system of welfare, it hurts people more than it helps them, man. It does. So there's something about working hard for what you have. It makes you appreciate things more, you know?
People still work and still get subsidy. Anything from the government, you're still getting subsidy. The source is coming from somewhere. Even in certain welfare programs, they will make you work for a welfare check, which is still an insult. You got to remember, altogether, the system is still capitalist because they're capitalizing off of everything. Even to the point, why would you make your citizens in debt? That's the question right there.
Why would you do that for welfare?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yes,
did you just say, why is that an insult?
Because you're not getting paid. They will give you minimum. They're not going to give you what you should get and more.
But you're taking from taxpayers, so they're making way of giving back.
Two different things, man.
No. You're gonna work. Give me what I'm entitled to, just like everybody else.
No one is entitled to anything.
But no one's.
Why would I get a job from listen, why would I get a
Let her finish that
why would
statement. I
you
want to hear
offer a person a
Why would you get a job? Go ahead.
why would you get a job
Uh-huh.
working for welfare? Just give me a job, period. And let me get what I'm entitled to.
But you can
As
apply
an
for jobs.
income. Hold
There are
up.
jobs all over the
As
place.
for income, remember they use things to benefit them, not to benefit you. That's why we're having this conversation. Is 10,000. We're in one of the richest countries in the world.
Your point.
So the point is, they are able to give more than they are giving.
But everything cannot be free, or this will not be one of the richest countries in the world.
It's
You need
not
citizens
free.
to invest
Nothing is
in
free.
the system.
That's a lie. Nothing here on this campground is free. Nothing is free.
I know what you mean.
How is it free? You tell me it's free. In the United States, how is it free? But I tell you what, our ancestors worked for free. They didn't mind that.
We ain't in that realm.
They didn't
We're in
mind that.
2022. That
You're
cannot
gonna
be
get
the
them. They're gonna
everything moving
pay
forward.
you what they want to pay you. And anybody know in this country, I can't speak for no other country, but they're gonna pay you. They're gonna take advantage. That's why they're taking advantage now. That's why you got these the owing 10 to 20, 30, 40, $50,000 and more in debt. That's taking advantage. The banks know that. They need to be penalized for that.
You don't have to go to school if you don't want to, you know.
Exactly.
No, but even if you don't go to school, you're gonna still go to get a trade. You're gonna do something.
Right.
Right. And it's still because you still gotta pay for that.
Man, look at take these Indians and Chinese for
scholarships.
The scholarships.
Earn a scholarship.
They go for the high degrees, high paying degrees. That's what we need to be doing.
I earn a scholarship.
But see, sometimes I don't know, even the high degree is really whether it's a master PhD. You're gonna spend most of your life.
Not most
trying
of your
to
life.
get a PhD.
Some part of your life. We live to be 80 years old. If you spend 10 years out of that 80
to
years.
say, I got a PhD, but some people got PhDs and masters and they're not making that much. Like you said, it depends on what you're going to school for.
Go for the ones that pay that much, Miss Marshawn.
Right.
right.
And I'm with you, Brother Jay, because it all comes down to the decisions that you make. I've seen people get $50, $60, $70, $80,000 in debt for what? A social work degree. So that's on you. That I've seen some individuals get $50, $60, $70,000 in debt for what? An engineering degree. Right, but they're making good money. Right.
Great
so
money.
once again, it comes down to this. It's called personal responsibility. If you talk from the Black nationalist perspective, it's called Kuchishakalia self-determination. Right. So at some point, right, we could say, yes, the government, there are several entities that are looking to engage in nefarious behavior. But we do have to also say, listen, it's on us to do what?
100%.
Make sure that we are doing in our best interest.
Yes.
We can't run around with this victim mentality, expecting someone to do something for ourselves, when oftentimes we aren't willing to do for ourselves what we're looking other people to do for us. It's absolutely ridiculous, asinine, and it isn't worthy of the type of thoughts that individuals who are seeking to restore ourselves to our traditional greatness should be engaging in.
I agree.
Ms. Marshawn, go for the high-paying degrees. The high-paying.
I disagree. Now, Lumumba, do you think that that we should have free education for the descendants of slaves?
I would, with a caveat, I am an advocate of free post-secondary education. However, it would have to be at 4-year institutions, not just these trade schools or community colleges.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, so that's the only thing for me. If they want to implement free education for African Americans, it needs to be at elite institutions in every state, right? So public universities, private universities, but I'm not talking about a trade school or community college where you could get a free degree in
liberal arts,
grass cutting or something, right? For lack of better words. So I'm serious, because that's the type of stuff they do. We give you this free money, but you got to get a degree in being a nurse assistant,
Right.
Literally. So that,
Liberal
we're
arts.
doing something for you, but it doesn't really amount to anything. And it's in a profession that'll keep you on what? The bottom rung of society.
We should be
So and we
competing
know
for
that
the
part of racism, which intersects with class and economics, is what there's a focus on keeping Black people as a permanent underclass here in America.
Of course, man.
So
we should use our
definitely,
brains.
I'm with Brother Jay. We need to be going for the high level degrees.
High level.
Not only are we making the type of money to allow us to provide for our families and contribute to our communities, but also that we can be in positions of power to where we are able to make decisions in particular institutions for the benefit of our people. And I actually, in my master's thesis, innocent plug right here, right? I came up with a concept called the alienated professional, right? Building on the concept of the alienated revolutionary. The alienated professional was someone who was intentionally Black-minded and used their power, their wealth, their degrees, their gravitas in their position in the professional world to make sure they were able to do what? Extract benefits to the Black community.
Miss Marshawn, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. We need to compete for the high-paying jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm African. If you're not coming home with a doctorate degree, a lawyer, a doctor, my mom doesn't even want to hear it. Like, you might as well just get out of her house. You know what I mean? And I went to school with these Indians, Chinese, Arabs, whatever it is. They are not smarter than you. You just as smart, if not more smarter. You know what I mean? Go and show it. Go and prove it. You know? That's my whole thing. I went to school with these guys. They're not smart at all, man. They just know how to, they know what to do. I don't even know what the word is, but they just know
what to do and how to do it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all it is, man. Black people are very smart. Mm-hmm. We just don't utilize it, in my opinion. You know, so go compete with them. You can easily compete with them.
And we can compete. And I would say this, in terms of competing, I've had 3 publications in just this year. 3 pubs in 1 year.
There you go.
So, and I'm probably going to have 4 or 5 because I'm actually working on a book chapter that I have to turn in by the end of next month. So when we talk about competing, we can compete. And here's the reality. We know in any sector of society, when the barriers to success has been removed, what happens? Black people dominate.
Easily.
We dominate in whatever we do. Easily. Who created
one of the smartest races out there?
A Black man. Who was the first person to successfully dissect Siamese twins? A Black man. Who was the first person to do successful open heart surgery? Black person. So we know, and no matter what the industry, we ain't just talking about music and sports, in any industry in which we choose to compete, we dominate. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't me trying to play on what's the term I want to use? I can't think of the actual term right now. Being a essentialist narrative of what Black people are, but this is just something that is a historical and contemporary reality.
In other words, we're not gassing you. It's a fact.
We compete in the same level that we do on the running, on the track and field, on the football field, and on the basketball court or the tennis court, and we can do it.
I went to school with them. They are not smart. I'm not saying they're dumb. They're not dumb either.
How did we get to the moon? A Black woman. Mathematics.
They are not smarter than you. They might have their parents might maybe pay their bills and whatnot to make sure they finish school. You know, they pay for their whole bill through the 12 years of school they go to. Now they have a better system than us, but they are not smarter than us. Believe me, I used to tutor a lot of them, a whole lot of them. You know. Just go compete with them. You know, make us proud. I'm tired of this bullshit.
Yeah.
For real.
And that's the big thing for me. It's about going into competing and being successful. And one of the things I can say, you know, I work in an industry that, of course, historically and even contemporarily has been a site of anti-Blackness, right? And there's a number of things, examples I could give. I'm not going to do that due to time because I think Brother Prince Amir wants to do a commercial. But what I will say is, right? But what I will say is, in competing, you have to make sure your game is on point, right? So one of my latest publications, I had a brother read it. He was like, man, this shit is so dense, I can't even understand what you're saying. But I had to put the work in to get to that point.
Yes,
so that my writing was so polished. It was in such a high level that they couldn't reject it, even if they didn't like what I was talking about.
You know, 1+1 is always going to be 2. No teacher's going to give you a wrong for that. You know what I mean? If the answer is A, it's always going to be A. They're not going to say, you know what, he's black, so let's give him a wrong answer, a wrong whatever for that. You know what I mean? So go. I'm telling you, man. I went to school with these guys, man.
Well, let me read this super chat. Then we're gonna take a commercial break. Shout out to One Way for the super chat. These hashtag ADOS/FBA folks always with the emotional, incoherent, gimme talk. Shaking my head. They get it from Tariq. Laugh out loud, guys. Please go and buy the documentary. Go to searchforhuru.com. Again, go to searchforhuru.com and buy the documentary. If you have not bought the documentary yet, please go and buy the documentary. It is available now at searchforhuru.com and it's streamed. People are asking, Dynast, is it an actual physical DVD? No, you stream it. You set up a login, username, password, and once you buy the documentary, you can watch it on any device anywhere. So please go and buy the documentary. The Adventure Kids. Hold on, the Adventure Kids. I got your documentary. Thank you for the support. The kids liked it, but were scared of the part with the goat. Yeah, when I drank the goat blood in Kenya. I know what you're talking about. That goat blood was actually pretty good, though.
Back the article. I'm going to read it.
Yeah. So, guys, again, go to searchforhuru.com and buy the documentary and links in the chat room. And I want to pick Chrissy. Chrissy, are you in New York?
No, I'm not in New York. I'm in Jersey.
I thought you were in New York. Okay, I thought you were in New York for some reason.
No.
Yeah. Okay, but guys, rents, and I don't foresee rent going down anytime soon. Rent is nationwide is astronomical, and same thing with home prices. And guys, I don't really see a 2008 situation happening when it comes to real estate. Yeah, there might be a little dip, but that's about it. But you have companies like BlackRock who are ready to buy up all these properties if they do take a dip. So what I want to say is, guys, start looking internationally to acquire real estate. Just because I know ADOS FBA has this. We fighting back. We ain't running. We fighting back. We ain't gonna run nowhere. I get it. But what I'm saying is, even though you're born here in America, even though your ancestors were sharecroppers here in America and built this country, doesn't mean you have to leave an inheritance or legacy here in America. And the way things are going, some of y'all might have to leave that inheritance outside of the country. And for those who are just so anti-Africa, listen, you got Panama, you got Belize, you have some of these developing Central and South American countries. You have Thailand, it's just
Trinidad.
Yeah, it's just not Africa. I know some of you guys get triggered when I say Africa. Well, the Africans, they coming to America. They trying to replace us. Okay, all right, I get it. Yeah, so that was my message for that. But Tunaja, go ahead, Tunaja.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and greetings to everyone on the panel and the chat. If from what I'm reading is correct that they gave them 10,000, I guess it's something, but I wouldn't say that takes care of anything really. And Biden, complete disappointment. NAACP, I don't know where they have been all this while. I've been wondering where they've been throughout all these George Floyd bill and all the rest. They've just been quiet, and I don't know what they are doing. And this is one of the reasons why I keep saying that there doesn't seem to be any strategy about the kind of careers and that people can go for. You see, Nigeria is one of those countries that it's clear now that you can get all the degrees, and it doesn't necessarily lead to the kind of outcomes and that is positive for the community. And it says something is missing in that equation. What I find that is missing is that we don't have ownership of anything, and specifically we don't have ownership of strategic industries like the pharmaceutical industry, the weapons industry, the bioengineering industry, chemicals, nothing. And most of the stuff we want to do, we want to go and work for people. Tell me again, what is the big difference between that and before? It's just that before they are torturing us, now they're just, you're still working for people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because you're just working for people. In the end, the people that define your reality, the archaeologists, the theoretical physicists, and all the rest of it, you are not there.
No.
Science doesn't necessarily pay a lot, but they define our realities. So these things matter.
And that's the problem.
Well, I think there's a couple of issues. One, I think we have to understand that not everyone has what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur or business person. Number two, if everyone wanted to be an entrepreneur, who would be the civil servants? Who would be the mayor, the city councilman, the police officers, the fire people, the teachers, right? So there has to be a balance in society of individuals who are in business, individuals who are in education, individuals who are in politics, and so on and so forth.
I agree with you. I'm talking about the ones that have the mind for it, because so far the ones that have the mind for it are busy chasing degrees and careers to work for others, instead of them to actually think of owning these things. That's why we don't own them now. You see what I mean?
Huge companies.
So that needs to change. We need to start shifting greedily and aggressively into areas that we don't normally occupy. Why? There's no reason why we shouldn't get involved in ballistic missiles or space DC technologies. There is no reason. The people that are doing it, they don't have 5 heads.
Yeah.
We should be getting into areas that, because what I realized is that when I read a bit about the history of the Rothschilds, and what they said that they did was, most of the members of the family, they barely got involved in anything else other than finance and science. And it tells you where the power lies, because and when I look at it, it was a very clever thing for them to do. They control the money and they control your reality. That's what they are doing. Because science defines the boundaries of reality. They tell us today gay marriage is okay, gay is a bad thing anymore. We say it's all right. They tell us that the earth is round, it's all right. Anything they tell you about the genes is all right.
With that type of stuff, I don't think an individual, this is my assumption though, I don't think an individual can achieve that type. You need the government to intervene in those type of projects, like the ballistic missiles, the hydro dams, and this huge factories and industries. You need almost like the government to intervene. You understand?
It's just the will.
There's some truth in that.
It's just the will.
I just want to ask you a question. Inside America, outside the Europeans, what is the second group that is wealthy? Who knows the answer to that?
Oh man,
of course the Jews then.
Nope, the Indians, and I'm not talking about the native Indians.
Yeah, the Indians
no, they are one of the wealthiest groups in this country, and they are what? Pharmaceuticals. Hold up. Pharmaceuticals. They're in the pharmaceutical industry, the science industry, the technology industry. I tried to get into a school of of IT last year, and they interview you, but he was like questioning me, like, why would you want to do IT? Well, why the hell are you there then? I had a professor. Listen, I had a
because they typically when you interview, they're going to ask you that type of question for any position.
No. He was questioning me. I know the difference.
About something completely
different.
Excuse me. I know the difference. He was questioning me as a person and who I am as to why I want to get in that field. 2 years ago, one of my teachers, because I was in nursing, which I am, he's a professor at Columbia in New York City, one of the biggest professors. And he's Indian. And I said, you know what? I want to go to be a doctor. And he was like blown off that I said that. Like no support. He was crying. Well, why you want to be a doctor? What the hell? You're a doctor. Why are you not supporting a black woman? Hold up. Why are you not supporting a black woman becoming a doctor?
She's Indian.
So he totally.
Why would you expect a non-black person to support you? Who cares? I'm in a doctoral program. You think I care if a white person, or Latino, or Asian, or Indian cares about me being successful?
Ms. Bashan.
No, my point is that's my point is that he didn't see me. He couldn't see me.
And you could have been
But
the doctor regardless of
whether
whether
he
he saw you or
cares
not.
or anybody cares or not, that's the way they think of you.
We don't need a hug.
That's
We don't
my
care
point.
about what they think about
That
us.
doesn't
The only thing
matter.
that matters is how we think about
It
sales.
doesn't matter, but it's what they think of
Who
you.
So
cares?
prove them
That's
wrong.
okay.
The only opinion of us that matters is our opinion of ourselves.
1000%.
That's
Her
the
opinion
only
did not
opinion
stop
that
you from being a
matters. It's
doctor if
what
you
did
wanted
Marcus
to.
Garvey teach us? He said
Didn't
that
I
people
just talk
underestimate
about we need to
Marcus.
get in careers and science and
So what?
technology? And
It still
hold
don't matter
up.
what they
And
think.
somebody else said we need governmental intervention
No,
in those
no. He was
areas.
talking about something completely different. He was talking about
What was he
building
talking about?
factories,
This
owning
woman is gone.
factories, owning hydro dams.
I think it's a bit
Well,
unfair.
well,
I
they
think
do
it's
own
sorry,
factories.
Michonne.
Who gives us?
Michonne, let me
Who
just say
gives
something.
America
Give me.
their
She moving the
medication?
goalpost again. She moving
Who
the
I,
gives
goalpost again.
America their medication? Who makes the medicines for America?
Most of these
India.
They
Indians
moving
in
the
America are
goalpost.
workers
India.
too, you know. They're just workers,
Pharmacies.
high-paying workers. Most of these Indians in America don't
Doctors.
own the
Now, stop
pharmaceutical
asking for
companies.
permission and just apply for the position.
Who operates the CERN machines?
Who cares?
No,
Who
that's
cares?
something big.
All I hear is excuses.
We're
All I
talking
hear is
about
excuses.
International space stations
All
Dynasty,
I
because
hear is
please.
excuses.
Gotta do
he
something about this,
said
man.
I'm
All I hear
talking
is
about
Michonne, can I just say something
yes.
quickly? Can I just say something
Go
quickly? I
ahead.
think what I wanted to say was that there is nothing wrong in getting feedback. You can't just operate in your own head. And sometimes when you look at the way people treat you, it gives you a feedback on what you are doing.
Right.
And we don't always this thing necessarily. I think we are too sensitive to that. We do read it a lot. Maybe that's why a lot of people are coming at Michonne and saying, "Why are you saying that?" and all the rest. But it's also good to get feedback so that you know where you are, because sometimes they will give you signals that says they are not seeing you, and you can use it for whatever you like. It's important. Sometimes they might think that you are useless, but you know you are better off.
Right.
So you know what DMX used to say: sometimes it's better to be thought dumb. Let them think you are dumb, but you are doing your thing, isn't it?
That's the
So
story of my life, man.
the important thing is to go for the right things.
Right.
We have to be very strategic when we are.
caring about what non-black people think of you. You done lost your monkey ass mind.
Man.
No, we don't care. The important thing is that it's not like you care what they think. You're just getting feedback from your surrounding so that you know with the lay of the land. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Listen, if you are an intelligent black person, you don't need the feedback. You know what it is.
If you don't need feedback, how do you know where? Okay, you might decide that your priority now is to heal.
It's ubiquitous. It's omnipresent. Everywhere you go in the world, you're going to face it. So you don't need to ask them, "Hey, you don't like me because I'm a Negro," right? We already know this.
That's not what he's doing, though. But that's not what she did. That's not what she did. You see, it's not fair when you just make a strong argument. She just said the person wasn't expecting her to do that job. She wasn't seeking approval. She just said, "This is how they see us."
Who cares?
Of course.
It's feedback.
I don't care.
No, but it does matter. You see, it does matter so that you get a lay of the land. You have to know what is going on around you.
Opinion that should matter.
Luma, sometimes it does matter because guess what? Who gives you your scores? Who teaches you?
I give myself.
Sometimes, hold up. Sometimes professors can open doors for you. Sometimes certain people get given the positions they're in. They can have more information and they can connect you to somewhere you need to go. So don't say that. Hold up. Don't say that it don't matter because I've seen that over and over. So if a certain race monopolize, if a certain race monopolize certain industries for their own people, they can open doors.
Confusing. If somebody
monopolize certain industries.
War and you pretend as if you want to live in your head while they are busy sharpening their knives to come for you. You don't want to get feedback. Don't get feedback now and just stay in your head. You have to know what is going on, the lay of the land. There's nothing wrong with that. And as for anything, it's actually prudent. Our problem is that we don't get an intelligent this is scope of what is going on around us. Everybody else is doing something else, and we keep doing other things. Other people are building nukes, other people are owning strategic industries, and we keep doing the wrong things. That is wrong feedback we are getting.
Let's pass it to Amina. Go ahead, Amina. Unmute yourself, Amina.
Good afternoon or good evening, Dynas. How are you, my brother? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm okay. I Hi, Tunija. I just think people are really getting this misconstrued, and we're going off the deep end completely. I think insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And we you can play, you could slow. You can slew blame around as much as you like. What are we going to do from this point onward? We know, those of us who took on debt for higher education, that $10,000 is nothing. It will not help any of our, interest high student debt. The issue is this. The issue is tuition. Everyone is avoiding that serious discussion. University education. I'm sorry.
Can I please interject? I'm so
Sure.
sorry.
Sure, it's okay.
So you're right. The issue is with tuition, but okay. I have Spelman, which is going to charge me like $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year.
And rising.
I and rising, and I have Clayton State, which is going to charge me probably like $5,000 a year.
Right.
Why would I go to Spelman over Clayton State?
I would tell you, if I could, I can answer that
However,
question. The reason why is because
that being said,
Spelman, it's worth more.
Historically, Black universities are trying to compete with the white universities. They're trying to compete for that. But the point of it is, Dynasty, and you and I both know this, and maybe some others. Germany in itself, their undergraduate students do not pay anything for a first degree. Only post-degree education, you are expected to get student loans. First degree is for free. Sweden, Finland, same thing.
And part of that is because they have much higher taxes.
That's true. That's very true. But they're willing to pay for that for, they look for the future down the road, what's going to help them right now. So if I can graduate university with a good portion of my education taken care of, no, I don't mind paying more, because at the end of the road, I'm going to get more back. So in this instance, this is not what America has done. Pardon?
I say you don't. Somebody else might.
However, that being said, universities in America is profit driven. Until, the citizens of this country say, look, I'm not paying for a provost to earn six figures, it's going to continue. We know this. This is not new to us. And yes, that's true. We, the American citizenry, we are the ones who are paying the cost of healthcare. And pharmaceutical companies are making money off of us. They could never make this money that they're making anywhere else in the world. We know that too. So why are we acting as if we don't know what time it is? We can shut this down. But we're willing for crumbs for nothing.
And it goes back to the same thing. The Black community is the ones complaining the most about the student loan debt, is because we go for the low paying.
Well, hold on. I got to interject. Let me interject.
That's not accurate. That's not
hold on. Let me interject. I partially agree with them. It's a specific demographic in the Black community that's complaining the most.
I see.
The one that says they're the most educated. That's who I see complaining the most online. But go ahead.
But you know what, Dinus, can I quickly interject? And the only reason why the complaint is there is because we know that majority of us did not finish university, right? So we don't really understand how it impacts us at all. The most of the grievance is that it is not going to contribute to our overall net worth in terms of us being a population, a 13.5% population in this country. It is not going to add to our generational wealth. No, it has not, and it will not. But the majority of the people who are going to benefit from this 10,000 so-called joke of a reduction or loan forgiveness is Asian and Caucasian.
Why is that?
Right.
Because they are the ones who have been promised a job out of university based off of who they know, not what they know. And we have not, regardless of
That's right.
our station, regardless of master's, PhD, you are looked as what you're looked as, regardless of your experience and your wisdom and education. Irregardless of that, we're still kept out with all of that we've achieved, all the certifications. It still doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's not true.
That's all I'm. It is true. It is true. What part of the United States or the of the United States do you live in?
Hey, if you're a doctor, no matter what, black, white, green, yellow, you got a job waiting for you.
That's not a panacea. I don't know what world you live in, but look, you can have a PhD and you still be opted out. You can be a medical doctor, but what are you reduced to? Are you allowed to work at Johns Hopkins, or do you have to go work down in the South and work in marginalized areas and not earn?
But if you work at
your contemporaries earn.
Johns Hopkins, you're going to be the elite in your field.
But how many of us are doing that? How many of us are allowed in that spectrum? Not many.
I would argue this: most people don't get to the elite of the elite of the elite. What
I
they
agree.
said in what
agree.
was it? Man in Black, the best of the best of the best. So most people aren't going to make it there. That's just the reality, irrespective of your race.
I don't know about that, my brother, because I'm seeing people who are first generations in this country, and they're given the lamb share right now.
Right,
and I do believe
Johns Hopkins. So this is an elite.
I understand that is the top tier. I recognize that. That being said, I do believe that this is all divisive, and what I mean by that is I believe that whoever is the puppeteer controlling the strings, because I don't believe it that the president is controlling the strings. There's another dynamic behind the president that is allowing all of these things, all of these divisive things, whether it be whether it be the alphabet community, whether it be illegal immigrants into the country, whether it be legal immigrants into the country, whether it be people who are filing for asylum. I believe all of this is strategic. It's political at best, but it's all strategic.
People don't like black people. We already know that.
Well, that's a given. We don't care about that.
We already know that.
That's neither here nor there. I mean, the point of the matter is that we are being divided. In addition to other people being divisive against us, we're being divisive as well against ourselves. Like, truth be told, the reason why most continental Africans aren't really messed with is because they know that they have another homeland to go to if stuff get hot on the field.
Africa's your homeland too. You can go.
Hey, hold on. Amina, I want you to repeat that again, and that's why I'm just trying to stress so much to my ADOS and FBA brothers and sisters. Again, I understand we built the country. I understand our ancestors were sharecroppers in Mississippi. I get it.
Right.
But but still don't limit your options to just America.
I agree.
And it doesn't have to be Africa, because now they get triggered when you mention Africa.
It doesn't
have to be Thailand. I mean,
actually, that's what I was thinking. And I've been to all these places. So I was you read my mind. I was just about to say, you're not relegated to just a continent if you don't want. I mean, look, we have the world is your oyster. You have African Americans doing very well in Singapore right now.
Really?
In Thailand. It's first of all, Singapore and Indonesia in itself for AI technology, they're doing great.
You know what?
They're doing
great. They built something for themselves. I feel like black people, we don't want to build nothing. We just want to go there where it's already built. Africa has all the resources.
You have a choice. That's the whole point. You have a choice. You're not relegated to just the continent. You could go anywhere you so choose, whether you want it to be more developed, less developed, looking like Europe, not looking like Europe. The world is your oyster. It's up to you. You don't have to limit yourself. But the point of the matter is that once FBA, ADOS, which my ancestors have been here over 400 years. But I say this, right?
Right.
If we want to stay here, that's your choice. If you want to leave, that's your choice. But we do have a right to be a recipient of where our ancestors have died and were tortured and forced to
No, you don't. You don't have a right.
endure. You know, we do have a right to that if we want to
Listen,
fight for
the
that.
world, the world.
But what we and this is the last thing I'm saying. I'm gonna get off. My other thing is that we have to agree on at least one common goal, whether it be FBA, ADOS, Native, Black American, however you want to title yourself. They love the fact that we are going against ourselves and we are playing right into the devil's playbook. And I wish we just at least agree on one thing and let's stick to it and move mobilely on that point alone. Thank you, Dynas. Have a great afternoon or evening, everyone.
Agreed.
You too.
No problem. Let's pass it to
Thank you.
Let's pass it to Yamoja. Yamoja, go ahead and unmute yourself, Yamoja.
Hi, everyone. I have so much to say on this topic, but I'll condense it.
So go ahead. Take your time. Take your time. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would say we need to learn how to leverage what we have. So, and in that, I mean, if you have a degree and you have education, look at your options.
One second. There's some background noise. Is somebody it's like somebody's mixing Kool-Aid or something, you know, like somebody's stirring some Kool-Aid.
Probably
like,
me, man. I'm about to mute you right now. It's probably me.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Yamoja. Go ahead.
All right. So, you know, in terms of your degree, you know, let's take it to the youth, because what's done is done for some of us. But if you have a child that's going into the university, you have to be engaged in what degree and subject matter that they're going to study. They need to be in fields and areas that can be monetized and turned into a business. So sure, you could get a job, but why not focus on finance or accounting, or you can open up your own firm in a year or two after you maybe work somewhere and get the background. And certainly the same applies to IT. But we can't go into these liberal areas, rack up all of this debt, and then get out and then want help repaying it. You know, these are the choices we're faced with. We have the ability to drive and direct our own path. There's some careers now that have low barriers to entry. There's supposedly lack of skilled workers in some IT fields. So there's some consulting firms like Accenture and IBM that are allowing folks to come in under what's called a new collar program, meaning used to be white collar and we required all of these degrees and certs and that kind of thing, but we're facing a skill shortage. And so we're allowing people to come in, get paid on like a 6 to 9 month type apprenticeship, and then try you out on a project.
I'm learning programming right now. And that's nothing to do with my field.
Yes.
It's something I chose to learn, put in the work.
Yes. There's so much free resources. Google has a whole free curriculum out there that someone could learn. Data science, programming. There are a couple of tracks in it. We've got to be strategic. Once we get that background and we get that education and experience, and we allow ourselves to only be in the workforce for 1 or 2 years, and then we turn that into our own business, we also need to look at where we can leverage it from a geographic perspective.
Yeah. Dr. Carter G. Woodson mentions this very thing in his book, Miseducation of the Negro. Get yourself a degree in a field that of course is economically stimulating. Get a job, learn as much as you can those first 1, 2, 3 years, then branch out on your own and do for yourself.
Absolutely. 100%. And so learn about the foreign earned income credit, where some countries have a tax treaty with the US where we can go and work in that country and have the ability to pay taxes if we don't make more than a certain threshold. So let's take the UAE. In Dubai, I believe the max salary you can make and not have to pay US taxes is $119,000. So now you have your finance degree, your tech degree, your medical degree, your teachers are over there paying no taxes here, being put up from a career perspective, having housing, telecom, medical insurance, a whole package. Totally removing themselves from the U.S., not having to give up their passport, having full residency and being there legally. But there's so many options. And of course, the whole continent, Africa is prime. Looking for talent. You've got to get out there. But to say that education isn't worth it and that someone has to give us more than $10,000, we can't wait around for that. We've got to create our own way and be strategic. Don't enter into these institutions until you have a career plan and hold that institution to helping you exit and be successful in whatever track you're going to be in. I'll stop it there.
And about that, sister, I really agree with everything you said. And on top of that, my son is 15, my daughter's 12. When they were 10, I started having conversations with them about, listen, having a career. What is your career path? What is it that you like to do? And how you need to focus on monetizing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My son is 15. He's already a public speaker. He speaks around the country. So we have to start teaching our children early, right, about the importance of finance, the importance of having a career, the importance of being an entrepreneur. I have a website. I have a YouTube channel. They already have a page on my website entitled The Next Generation, right? So this is the type of the things that, like Sister was saying, that we need to be doing for ourselves instead of waiting on some entity, the largesse of Whitey or the government or any other institution, to do for us. Because the reality situation, and I need to get off of here because I got to go into a call. I went to New York City a couple of years back. I've been there a couple of times, and I noticed they have Hebrew schools, right? I saw some school buses with script Hebrew letters. So I made up a story about doing some research on Jewish cultural retention in America. And I visited a school. The name of the YouTube channel is Lumumba Speaks. And what I ended up finding was the senior capstone project at that Jewish school was, guess what? They had to start their own business, be earning income. But the kicker was after they did this, they taught those kids at those Jewish schools how to take that money from a business they created and put it into a nonprofit that they created so they didn't have to pay taxes. So they were teaching them how to run the world, not be ran by it.
Can I say something real quick, Dynast?
Yeah, go ahead. Then we're going to pass it to Chaos Rain. Go ahead.
Okay. I echo what Lumumba Speaks says. I do the same thing with my children. My daughter's reading Carter G. Woodson. My 13-year-old is reading Carter G. Woodson right now. It starts in the home. And we can no longer, and my child is homeschooled. She's not in this decaying, archaic, so-called educational system.
Hallelujah, sister.
No, I had to do it because, this pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to deem it as, was a blessing and a curse. And I always knew that this system, my child was about to check out mentally. And I, thankfully my husband agreed. Okay, yeah, we'll do it. She's doing coding, robotics. She's doing all of it. So, but my point of matter is that we, like Sister said, and I teach this to my children, all of us can do it. It's very simple and doesn't cost any money. Libraries are free. Your taxes are paying for it. Bookstores, we can use them free. In that you can go and teach your kids what you need them to get out of it. It starts with us. We don't need anything that hasn't already been done. All we need to do is reach back, learn from what was already done that worked, and implement it ourselves. I teach my children, guess what? You don't need to go get a job. That is an old template that is about to be totally eradicated. We have to teach our children to be entrepreneurial, have more than one hustle, have a plan A, plan B, plan C, in case in emergency, D. So we can do the same, and we can do it ourselves, and we don't need the structure, and we can work on different venues and across the world if we want to. So there's no one holding us back but ourselves. But lastly, and more importantly, we melanated people got to realize that don't fall for the okie doke. And we're doing it. We have to realize we have if not one thing specifically in common. And we need to stand on code on that and stop allowing other people to divide us even further. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You're welcome, guys. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and also if you have not bought the documentary In Search of Uhuru, make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com. Again, please go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary, family. Again, if you have not bought the documentary yet, links in the chat room, links on the screen. Go and buy the documentary. Again, go and buy the documentary at searchforuhuru.com. Chaos Rain, go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually Chaos Rain.
Chaos Rain, okay.
Yes. Oh, so the documentary is complete now. Okay, I see the cover. All right. That's good.
It's done. It's ready. Go ahead.
It's ready. I talk about student loan and how our people are the bulk of this debt, besides every other race of people. But when you look at it, especially Black women, they get it the worst. So now that this administration, this president, is only throwing a bone, which I think is 10K, and I'm probably gonna look at more and do content now, that is really an insult. And the reason why is because they already put policies in place a whole decade in advance from the last administration, not the one with Trump, but the other administration when he was a part with Obama, was signed in where you can default on student loan debt, and that was 12 years ago. So now, only thing that you see them do now is, depending on how the bill is structured, they're throwing you this little amount of money to the amount of more that you might own with the interest. It's not going to pay off no debt at all. Matter of fact, the whole tension is not really, you should be paying off your debt unless you're making a whole lot of money. And usually you're going to get that mostly if you're like a serious entrepreneur. Then work with some high-end job that pays like 100K or 200K or something. Personally, because it's not really designed for you going to pay off any debt you're going to accumulate if you decide to go to any higher education, 4-year university or higher, for master's or doctorate. You gotta know what you're getting into, people. This country is a capitalist system. They're here to take more out of you for them to keep in their pockets. They're like the parasites. They're sucking your blood. And you got to understand the pitfalls and the ways to prevent your own blood being sucked by these people.
I wanted to add, I left off when I talked about, working outside of the country. So, and I think I gave the UAE as an example. So if you're over there and you're making whatever it might be 109, it might be 119. It changes like per administration, it seems like. As long as you file your U.S. taxes, then you don't have to pay your student loans because you're not earning U.S. dollars, but you are current on your taxes. You're taking care of that obligation. But actually, anywhere you work that you're not making U.S. dollars and you are on an income-based repayment plan and you're not earning any U.S. dollars, then you don't pay any U.S. dollars. And so you can be outside of the country, getting yourself together, to, maybe eventually pay those loans off or, wait around to see what else is going to change with the forgiveness legislation. But you're not in default. You're making your obligation of filing your taxes, but you're not paying anything. And you're having your expenses covered, and then you're having your salary to do whatever, which hopefully is saving money to, uplift Africa and start businesses and acquire real estate. So that's another tool. This is information that's not really shared with us. I can say that some of my peers I know of a lighter hue have been doing this for years. And I do know some brothers and sisters who are doing it as well. And like they got because they had no income during the COVID, when they gave the stimulus, they got stimulus checks. And because they filed their taxes, the money was deposited into their checking account because it went into whatever checking account is attached to your income taxes. And, they were all the more happy. So we've got to start looking at other ways and thinking outside of the box so that we change our positioning and create some generational wealth. That's it.
All right, guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button again, please. Hit the like button. We're going to be closing out shortly. Link is in the chat room. Links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. S. Hunter, go ahead, S. Hunter.
Yes. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I was just thinking that a lot of us have to start getting knowledgeable. Like I agree that we got to get knowledgeable in the finance department. You know, coming up in the school system, I was in the public school system. They didn't really teach us about real estate, credit, or just finances in general. And us as melanated people asking the government for basically handouts is just like
Hey, did we lose him?
Yeah, his internet must be off. I'm hoping he gets it reconnected soon.
Okay.
But like I said, for a lot of us,
the stoplights and all these inventions that they hardly give us credit for. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way that we could develop a whole new situation. The thing about it is people don't want to give up the Americanism. They still want to be materialistic. They still want to drive the Benzes. They still want to, go to the basketball games and do all this stuff. And it's like when it's you can't really do both. You got to balance. I mean, you can't really balance it. You really got to be strongly focused on a goal in which you're going. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I feel like the future, as far as working is concerned, the pensions and all that, that's if you're under, I say 30, man, listen, if you're expecting to get a retirement check, you're gonna have to get your own retirement check. You're gonna have to invest in your own situation, and there's plenty of platforms giving out economic knowledge, and you got to get into stocks. You got to get into things like crypto. I'm not a financial advisor, but you got to get into things like this where you can generate passive income and learn about compound interest, learn about trust, learn about wills, learn about different things of that nature, spread the knowledge to the youth. Because with automation coming into play, with cars, everything of that nature, we got to raise up our kids to be super duper knowledgeable. Because if our kids aren't, more, advanced than us, then what I'm saying, our whole situation is gonna fail. It's gonna crumble. So it's like I feel like that's a major key, and people can't be afraid to travel and just be willing to go somewhere else and build somewhere else. Go somewhere else where you'll have less pushback. That's pretty much all I got to say on that.
Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and close out. Guys, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Let's see here. To Nigel, anything else you want to share in closing?
Yeah, about, in summary anyway, regarding the kind of areas we want to be getting into, the ones that have the capacity to do it, they need to be choosing areas that mean also influence, because it's one thing to earn money, it's another thing to actually be able to control certain sectors, so that when there is a discussion about what matters, you will be on the table. And we need to own them, because if you work for them, it's not the same thing as owning it. And to own them, it's not that clean. There has to be we have to be ready to do the hard work, because anytime they know, and anybody knows, if you want to control an industry, even a drug dealer knows, if you want to control any industry, you have to take it from somebody, or you might have to create a new one for yourself. And that is the kind of thinking we need to get out from where we are, because if we don't do that, for me, from the way I look at the world, not much has changed from 500 years ago, because we are just still working for people here and there. We don't own anything. We don't control anything. We are not taking part in the first world competition that is going on. So that's where I'm sure I will leave it at that.
All right, go ahead, Jay.
I don't have nothing to say. It's okay. Next
All
question.
right, Amina, anything else you'd like to share in closing? Amina?
I just think we need to expand our horizons and not to be afraid to do it. Yes, I know what we have a right to, and I know what our lineage has afforded us, and it's being given to the highest bidder. But I don't think we should just limit our scope to the United States and do what we need to do so we can do what we want to do. Thank you, Dynas. Be well, everyone.
No problem. Thank you. S. Hunter, anything else you want to share in closing?
Oh no, that's it.
All right, Chaos Rain. Chaos Rain.
No, that's pretty much it. I'll probably look into more on this, do content on this down the line. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Miss Yamoja, go ahead and take us away.
Okay, I would just like to encourage everyone to remain in a position of power. You must leverage everything you have, your skills, your money, and always look for opportunities to be on top and to financially be successful. Can't do that without partnering and can't do that without skills and something to offer.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see. Let me read the super chat. Never Miriam, thank you for the $5 super chat. We have to not be afraid of falling behind. If we have our own society, we can start small, ride bikes, read books, and catch up like China caught up. With that being said, guys, make sure you go and buy the documentary. Again, go to searchforahuru.com, and buy the documentary. Also, like, share, subscribe on the way out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. I am still in Senegal. I will be back on tomorrow, though. Again, go to searchforahuru.com and buy the documentary. Until next time, family, Dynas Amir, Search for Huru. Peace.